Well, today is the 24th of October, and it is the 24th of October. It is a Monday. It's around midday, or maybe just after midday, and I'm walking to the Connemara, and I realised one of the good things when I listened back, because I listened back to the first two entries on this device, which was from the 18th of October and the 15th of December, and they're pretty boring for me anyway, because most of the stream of consciousness that I use and the subjects I talk about, they're not new to me. I talk about them all the time, so maybe to somebody else who hasn't heard those subjects before, it might be. But what is interesting is actually when I mention what's going on at the time, making it a bit like an audio diary. And it also puts the entries in their place in the past. If I say this happened, that happened, we're doing this, crypto's worth this is on the news at the moment, and then you go, I'd forgotten about that, So obviously at this point in time, this October, in the year 2022, it's a very historic moment for Flo anyway, because as I speak here now, she's probably at the ashram in the south of India. I drove her to, I didn't actually do an entry on this yet, she drove to the Manosque railway station to take the bus. Took the bus to the TGV to Paris, President de Gaulle airport, and from there she flew to Delhi. From Delhi she had to fly all the way down south to another airport, had to stop off halfway, and then the final leg, an hour's flight. And from that little airport she's taking a taxi to the ashram. It's about a day and a half's full travelling. But I think she's there now, so for Flo it's a very historic moment. She's I guess she's kind of she's doing something that she's been dreaming about and planning about doing for a long, long time, for years and years. So that's historic. That's something we won't forget. But it's good to put it in here anyway. Like I said, these things maybe are more interesting than me kind of waffling on about video games and Anno, or me waffling on about some artistic endeavour or wanting to make a difference. Like I say, if any stranger's ears ever catches wind of these audio in 100 years' time, maybe because you haven't heard it before, it might seem interesting. I don't know. To me, listening back sometimes is a bit difficult because it's repetitive. Anyway, what else is happening at this moment? The crypto markets are all very low. ADA is about 36 cents from its high of $3. Bitcoin is 19,000 and something, and has been for weeks and weeks. Ethereum 1,300 from its highs of, I don't know where it was, maybe 4, 5, 6 or something at one point. So nothing stirring there. We can only hope that, first of all, that we live long enough to get to 2027 or 2028 or the end of this decade, and that somehow something takes off for some reason on the crypto side. I have to say at the moment it doesn't look possible, but well, who knows? Everybody seems to be having less money because everything seems to be more expensive. And so if everybody has less money and no money just lying around that they don't know what to do with, it's hard to see why anybody would want to be putting money into something that has been as terrible an investment over the last the last year or more. Anyway, let's not start waffling on about Bitcoin, like I say, and crypto. I always say the same thing. Hopefully, when you're listening back to this in a decade, let's be optimistic, in a decade, hopefully you'll be going, oh my God, it's amazing how low that stuff was, but we stuck with it. And now ADA today has just turned $20 per one. I mean, that would be the dream scenario. And Bitcoin is now completely, there is no more, so it's really sought after, and it's just gone over 100,000. You know, this would be good. Perhaps would be a way of having some money for my old age. But who knows? The other thing then, I'm travelling tomorrow as well, of course. I'm going off to Ireland Tuesday the 25th. And it's historic for me as well, like Flo was saying, because I've never travelled the full journey since being in France, really. For a long, long time, it's always been me and Flo, or Flo giving me a lift somewhere. But this particular journey, I booked the flights myself online with Aer Lingus. I booked the Ryanair flight back. Got them all pretty cheap. Very cheap. I mean, it's 80 euros to go out, and I think it's about 60, 70 euros to come back. So I was saying to myself, I bought a jacket in Decathlon that cost about 80 euros, so it's a pretty cheap flight. So I booked it myself, and I'm going to be driving to, because Flo's not here, obviously, I'm driving to Manosque myself in the Clio campus tomorrow. And I'll be taking the bus and the airplane, and then coming back I'll be driving myself. So I'm doing the whole thing on my own, which I never have before, which gives me a nice sense of independence for once. Just the other thing I'm thinking about, the noise of my shoes walking. It always irritates me when I listen back to these tapes, but there's nothing I can do about it. I just happen to talk and walk. Because the microphone is this little Philips device. It didn't cost that much, I think 20, 30 euros. But it really is a great little device, and I think the quality of the audio is very good. And I know it's going to pick up the sound of my footsteps. So I'm going to the Connemara. I don't know if I will or not. I may start uploading some of these files to my This Life account. It might make me feel like I've done some chores if I get up to date with all this audio. Get it all up online. Really for myself. There's been nothing on that site. There's no views on anything except for me. And it's probably all incredibly dull and boring if anybody did stumble upon it. But I still kind of like the idea of having all this stuff there to listen to in the future. So what else is there? There are the news details. It's a depressing news time. There is no COVID, obviously. That's good. It's still there, but there's the war going on in Ukraine, and there's the China guy who's served his 10 years, and now he's coming back to serve another 6. And what that means is that he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay there forever as well. And the price of things going up, inflation, and basically the lack of the lack of what seems like inspirational leaders at the moment, and like some guy said on the radio yesterday, there is a tendency in the more modern history that every 100 years or so, and it was kind of spoke about way back in the 70s and 80s, that it's a dangerous time when you get 100 years after the last Great War, that things have a tendency to repeat themselves. And we are kind of slowly, and it is slowly, and it is almost like osmosis, and that people, you don't really pay much attention to it. But there's a lot of bad things going on, bad leadership in countries, and a lack of economic management. And so, like I was saying about the crypto, it's hard to see why anybody would be buying. You know, maybe I'm being naive. There's probably plenty of people with tons of money that don't know what to do with. The guys running the oil companies, the executives and the board of directors, they're making something like a couple of $1 billion profit in the last couple of months. And there may be some guys on the market as well. So yeah, I mean, some people have money, but in general, the narrative, as they say, is that there's not a lot of money going around for the general public, and so you don't see lots of videos and lots of advertisements and stuff for ADA as much as we did about 2 years ago, when that seemed to be all anyone was talking about, you know. I wish things would get resolved, and I wish we could go back to a settled society and everybody could get a job and the economy could find some more new and interesting things that everybody wants. Maybe for the green issues and the carbon issues, and we could all go back to an investing atmosphere again. Anyway, got 2 people coming toward me. It's been 12 minutes. I don't have anything else to say, so I'm gonna quit.